So a 2-1 loss on Friday, but then a bounce back 3-2 win on Saturday against Alaska Fairbanks in town this weekend. Of course, one of the things we've talked with Coach Patolny a lot about this season has been he felt like the guys were taking too many penalties. Just 6 over the 2 games this weekend. Granted, 2 of those were majors. Do you feel like the guys were more disciplined in their approach and in the execution this week?
100%. And, I think there's a couple things that go into that. Like, part of it is, a little bit of lack of discipline, but part of it is too, like, when you're kind of playing behind, you're playing catch-up hockey, maybe you're not, your legs aren't working how they want to go, you maybe reach out and you take the odd penalty, and that's all part of it. And I think, like, now the trick is like that's 3 games in a row we've had to kill a 5-minute major, and those are extremely tough. And not only to kill them are they tough, but I think what you see is later on in the game, especially guys like Andre Gonthaus who have to play both special teams, really taxing on them. And it starts to wear out their legs, and when you need them most at the end of the game, sometimes they don't always have that. So it's still an area that we have to dial back. You want to get it at least in the top half of the country, and we're still not there yet, but we saw some progress this weekend.
So on Saturday, you got AJ Vanderbeck back in the lineup. And even though he didn't put any pucks in the net himself, he got the helpers. When you have a prolific scoring talent and offensive talent like that, even just having him out there, how does that help the Cats offensively and just open things up?
When he's on, like, there's no doubt he's one of the top offensive players in the country, and you kind of hit the nail right on the head. Like, obviously, a lot of times it's him on the back end of it where he's putting the puck in the net, but, like, he obviously has a really good stick. He sees the rink extremely well. He makes players around him better. But I think maybe for the casual fan, what you don't notice is that when AJ's on the ice, people key on him. So that opens up stuff around the rink. And I thought he did a really good job of distributing the puck and getting it to other people. And, he got to get in that assist column a little bit.
So this past weekend's game were the Cats' last non-conference series. It's CCHA games the rest of the way. How do you feel like the slate of non-conference games this year has helped the Cats get ready for the grind of CCHA hockey?
Really good schedule. I think if you look at it, you went out and we beat a really tough team in Colgate. I think I'm sure Grant mentioned it throughout the week and prior weeks that we probably weren't happy with our game leaving Notre Dame. And the tough part about going into Notre Dame, even as a coach, you kind of feel it, but you don't have a lot of time to fix it. So the last 2 weeks, there's some areas in our game that we felt were concerns, and we spent time addressing them. And we pushed the guys extremely hard the last 2 weeks. And I think if you ask any player, like, it's been a hard 2 weeks of practice. And you follow that up with Anchorage, a little bit of disappointing result on Saturday, ran into a hot goaltender. But Fairbanks, I think they're a really well-coached team. They've disciplined within their systems, very similar to a Lake State, big, heavy, and it's very similar to what we're going to see next weekend. So hopefully now we're seeing steps forward in our game, and now you got to start building that in conference, because at the end of the day, you want to get to the NCAA tournament, and the best way to do that is through your league.
Well, like you said, Coach, got a little bit of foreshadowing for what it's going to be like to take on Lake State with Alaska Fairbanks, and Lake State's up next on the road this weekend, Friday and Saturday at Lake State. Your thoughts on those matchups for the Cats?
Extremely important games, right? Like, now we're in conference, so every conference game is it's heightened, and these ones more so than some of the others, right? We talk a lot about in the locker room about being the UP champions, and right now, I think up to that point, that's kind of what it's been. It's been talk. And if you look at our record against the rest of the league compared to the UP, we haven't fared very well. And it's been a direct result of us maybe not being where we want at the end of the year, where you're in a position where you have to win the last game of the year to get into the NCAA tournament. So part of our process is we feel that one of the steps along the way is being the UP champ. And going into Lake State last year as a lower seed, playing a really intense 3-game series, I hope that's heightened and intensified the level of the rivalry for our guys, because I don't think it was an issue for the guys out east. Now, Lake State's a very good hockey team. Like I said, they're well coached, they're disciplined. You're going to have to come through numbers. They're not going to lose people. And then on top of it, they got some extremely good players. Louis Badon, like he's going to be in the running for Player of the Year. He's a fantastic talent. He's a true #1 centerman. You got Jacob Bengtson on the back end, who's going to be in the run for Defensive Player of the Year. They got a great supporting cast. So it's going to be a really good challenge for us on the road and a great way to, I guess, kind of kick off the true conference play. We had the 2 early with Bowling Green, but now that's all we have left. So really looking forward to it as a group.
And like you said, Coach, being the UP champion is a big source of pride for all the hockey programs up here. But, the environment's a little different when Michigan Tech comes to town as opposed to when Lake State comes to town. What's the rivalry like with, like you said, the guys over in the East as opposed to over in Houghton? Is there still that degree of intensity there?
It should be, and I don't know if it has been. To be bluntly honest, like we feel it's been more important to them than it has been to us. And that's why, if you're around in the Tech series, like it doesn't matter where Northern is in the standings, doesn't matter where Tech is in the standings, it's going to be a great game because it's a true rivalry game. And I feel like Lake State brings that towards us. And part of the challenge is to match that. And, I think having the pride in the UP, wanting to be the UP champ, including them in that rivalry, I think that's going to go a long ways in for us to having the performance that we want to see against them.